It's important to remember that even when times are difficult, there's always good usually around the corner. And that's why today we're going to code this thing, the yin-yang symbol, or yin-yang is a better pronunciation. Now, you can take it as a challenge and try coding it yourself. It's not very hard, but it's not an easy one either. There are many complex shapes there. So try it out if you want, and then come back to this video and see if your solution matches mine. Stop the video now if you don't want to hear my solution, because I'm going to start revealing it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll begin by drawing two rectangles next to each other like this. Then, like using a cookie cutter, we're going to keep just the center circle. And moving here, halfway above the center point, we draw a smaller circle and an even smaller circle over it. Then the same thing below, but switching the colors. Now, what I explained is a bottom-up approach, and we could start coding it like that. But it's really important to think about it top-down as well, like how you want to use this symbol in an application. When I look at it, I see a circle, and a natural way to call it would be to use a center point and a radius. So let's keep both of these viewpoints in mind when coding it and find a balance. Get it? Because the symbol shows a balance between the... No, no, no.
Gonna code, debug, and have fun. Coding with Radu. Coding with Radu. Gonna prototype and design. Coding with Radu. Coding with Radu. Let's code now.
I'm going to use Visual Studio Code and start coding in an empty folder. Let's create index HTML and start typing HTML syntax, starting with doc type. And then everything goes inside of the HTML tag like this. The head is going to contain the title of the document, and it's going to be YinYang, like so. And the body is going to contain a canvas element. This is going to be just us drawing on the canvas. Let's save this and try to open index.html in a browser. I'm using Google Chrome, and you can see the name appearing here, the title of our application. And the canvas is also here. If you right click somewhere on this and select inspect, it's going to show you that there is a canvas element inside of the page when you hover here. These are the developer tools that have opened. But without them, you don't know the canvas is there, it's invisible. So let's give it a blue background color. I'm going to go back here and give it a simple style. Background color, deep sky blue, like so. And when you refresh, it's going to look like that. Let's also make it bigger. I'm gonna fill this size of the screen on the left. So let's give it a width of 700 and a height of 700. You can use other values if your screen looks different than mine. And this is how it looks like now. Now we're going to draw the shape on the canvas using JavaScript, and we need to refer to the canvas somehow to identify it. We're going to add an ID for it here, my canvas, like so. And our JavaScript code is going to be here after the canvas element. This is not going to be a very big project, so I won't be separating into different files this time. Let's get a reference to the drawing context from the canvas, the 2D context, which we'll use to draw pretty much everything we need today. And begin by drawing a simple circle. Begin path, and let's do an arc. The arc method has 5 parameters. It can have more, but we're going to use just 5 today. So the first one is the center, where we want it to be horizontally, so in the middle of the canvas width. and vertically the middle of the canvas height, like so. Now the third parameter is the radius. Let's just set this to 10 to see how it looks like. And then the fourth parameter, the starting angle, 0, and we go all the way to 360. And in general, these degrees tend to loop, so you could theoretically have bigger values than that, but it will look the same. Now, writing 360 degrees here, in theory, will work. It's going to give us something that works, but because we are going many, many times around the circle, you see, these are supposed to be in radians, and 2 pi radians is a full circle. Now 2 pi is about 6 point something, so when you type 360 there, it's definitely enough to fill the circle, but they are intended to be in radians. So let's fix this issue like so. And now do a CTX fill so that our circle has a fill color assigned to it. Now save and refresh does give you the circle there. Let's make it a little bit bigger, maybe 50 in radius. And it looks like that. And looking at this now, of course, if you really know very, very well this arc method, then you know what these parameters stand for. But you can get a little bit better code if you decide to take them out, take these values out and assign them to variables with proper names. I'll show you. Center X is going to be canvas width divided by 2. And then center Y is going to be my canvas height divided by 2. And radius, let's just set it to 50, like so. And now here we're going to have center X, center Y, and radius. It becomes much clearer what happens here. We are first getting location, and then radius, and then passing it to this. The code is basically telling us what is going to happen when we read it. Much less confusing, I think. And because this is shorter than writing this, it probably also is going to look nice on one line, like so. Not going outside of the screen or anything like that. Save and refresh, and it's still gonna look like before. Now I want to draw 2 rectangles here from this leftmost point here and topmost point here. I want a rectangle with the width of the radius and the height double the radius. And then another one, but starting not on this leftmost point, but in the center X location. So let's see how we would do this. I'm going to go here and set the fill style to white and fill rect 4 parameters this time. The first one is going to be the left, and now this is going to be the top, and this is going to be the width, and this is going to be the height. So let's see if this works. Save and refresh. And it works. The first one is here. But before drawing the second one, we can do the same thing here. Give intuitive names for these other parameters here. So this is the left. I'm going to go here and say left is center X minus the radius. And then top is going to be center Y minus the radius. And put here left, top, radius, and then radius times 2. And close this. Now if you refresh, this breaks. There is an error. You can see in this console here, top has already been declared. And this is a very confusing syntax error that we are getting here. What it actually means is that the word top is somehow reserved, a reserved word, and now we're trying to overwrite it. I'm going to rename this to top underscore and top underscore, even though I don't recommend this practice really. But we're going to get rid of it eventually. It's going to work nicely in the end, so let's just have it for now. But saving now, refreshing the page, is going to work just as before. But here it's easier to read now. And we can copy this, fill style black, and here we don't start at left, we start at center X. Let's save this and refresh, and we are now covering that circle. If we want these rectangles to be sliced according to the circle that we had previously, we have to not fill here, but clip instead. This is going to create a clipping region inside which we are going to see what is being drawn next. Let's save this and refresh. We get this kind of shape here. Now what I want to do is draw one circle here at the top, a white circle. Its radius is going to be half the radius that we've been working with so far. So I'm going to go after this and say begin path and arc. Let's write these like so. So center X horizontally, vertically is center Y minus half the radius. Then the radius is half the radius, and now we still want a full circle, so it's going to look like that. Let's set the fill style to white and fill. And when you refresh, it looks like this. And it's really easiest now to draw also a small dot here. So I'm just going to copy everything what we did here below and change this to black. And the radius we're going to use, it's much smaller this time. So save and refresh, and this is what we get. And we're almost done. Have to do the same thing below here, but switching the colors. So let's just copy everything we have here. Below, add half the radius here, add half the radius here, and then black here and white here. Save, refresh, and there you go. But our code just became huge. Huge, and this part here at the bottom, drawing this circle with the dot inside with different colors and different size parameters. This looks really clear now because we just wrote it like a minute ago. But if you're going to look at this again in a week, it's going to be horrible. And refactoring, maybe taking this out as a function, draw a circle with dot or something like this, it's going to make reading this whole thing so much easier. And of course also, what is the meaning of this location here or something like that. So think about these parameters, find good names for them, and refactor the code. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it to you as a homework practice. But what I will show you is how to extract all of this thing as a function. So here, after the radius, we're going to say draw YinYang, and it's going to have 3 parameters, center X, center Y, and the radius, like this. Now everything here goes inside of this function, like so. And above here, we can just call this. like draw yin-yang. And the first parameter is going to be the center x. The second parameter is going to be the center y. And let's make it bigger this time, see if it works. We're going to have 100 radius instead of 50. And these, they can go away. And I think that this is quite clear as it is. I mean, it looks like a circle, and it must have the center point and the radius. At least that's how the arc method is working here. So I think that this is in line with that other method, and we don't need to explicitly say which parameter is which here in any way. Of course, other people might have different opinions, and that's fine. But in general, I consider this to be a good code. Let's save and refresh. And this seems to work just fine. But now, because we have this as a function, we could draw multiple times. So let's try to draw one on the left, maybe put here minus 100 on the x, and copy this with plus 100 here. And save, refresh, and it doesn't work. It shows just one, but there should be another one next to it. What's even weirder is that if here instead of plus 100 I just remove it and I save and refresh, it looks like that. Can you figure out what the problem is? You probably can, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So the clipping here is going to affect what is being drawn by the second function. And if we leave here what we had previously, plus 100, then the other circle is outside of that region, so it's not going to be visible. A way to fix this problem is inside of this draw yin-yang. Before we start doing anything, we are going to save the state of the context. And then at the end, when we are done with everything, we are going to restore to that saved state. So the clipping when drawing the first thing is not going to affect the second thing. And you save, refresh, and both symbols appear next to each other. Now, one small thing I want to point out is that because this top is no longer a global variable, it doesn't need that underscore there. It can be named top, and it's not going to cause any issues anymore. Save, refresh, and you still get the same results. Let's play with these a little bit more, maybe add another one at the beginning. Let's keep the one in the beginning 100, and then these ones maybe 50, so that we play a little bit. And let's put the first one in the center of the screen. So have fun playing with it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys.